Greetings! In today's video, we'll be taking a look at various manufacturers' burnt sienna. Burnt sienna, originally, is the raw sienna pigment that has been heated, becoming a reddish-brown color. It's usually PBR 7, since that's what raw sienna is, but some formulations simply omit the PBR 7 pigment in favor of a red pigment, with or without black added in. Those colors wear the name burnt sienna, but it doesn't reflect what's the composition of the paint. I read on handprint.com that the sources of the natural earth pigments, the natural iron oxides, has dwindled a lot in recent decades, where PBR 7, PY 43, and PR 102 used to refer to those natural oxides. There has been talk about removing the colors from the color index in favor of their synthetic equivalents, PBR 6, PY 42, and PR 101. Apparently, paint manufacturers came down on the idea and it didn't actually become a reality. The colors I've gathered here feature a bit of everything. I have many PBR 7s and a couple made from mixes. The color range doesn't vary much, but it's not as consistent as ultramarine was. Also, the colors that don't use PBR 7 are not necessarily student brands. For example, you have Schminke, which is a professional brand, and they use a mix of color for their burnt sienna. The first color is by Holbein, and it's actually a real PBR 7. Second swatch is Taylor Rowney's Aquafine Burnt Sienna, which is a mix of PBR 7 and PR 101. The third swatch is Winsor & Newton's Cutman version of the paint, which is PR 101. The fourth color on my sheet is by Daniel Smith, and it's their Italian Burnt Sienna, which is PBR 7. It's one of those colors that was a bit different from the others. This one is less yellow and really a reddish brown. Fifth swatch is Van Gogh's Burnt Sienna, also a mix, but this time it's PR 101 and PBK 11. So a red and a black pigment. Sixth color doesn't have much in terms of pigment information, but it's labeled Burnt Sienna, and it's from the very inexpensive set of watercolor tablets by Reeves. This one was also fairly different from the others, being much more reddish and less brown and less yellow than the other colors. It could possibly be a different pigment, but I wouldn't know. Then I have Sinhalese Burnt Sienna, which is PBR 7. The following swatch is Burnt Sienna by White Knight. I have the Leningrad set, but it's basically the same paints as their other sets, and it's made with PBR 7, so Pigment Brown 7. The next swatch is Burnt Sienna by Schminke, and like I said, it's a mix of the red pigment PR 101 and the black pigment PBK 9. I'm a bit surprised that Schminke would go for a mix instead of the actual PBR 7 pigment, but I guess they have their own reasons. Then I have Rembrandt's Burnt Sienna. If you remember this mini set I made, there was a compartment that had Burnt Sienna in it, so that's this color. And it's PBR 7. It was a bit different than the other colors, in the sense that it's more textured. If you look at the Sinhalese one next to it, it's very smooth, and the Rembrandt one has some kind of texture going on. And this one is my very own paint, so it's a handmade Burnt Sienna made with PBR 7. The very last color, again, I'm not sure of the pigment composition because Kuretake doesn't really have that information available, at least in English. I looked through my swatches and saw that it was fairly similar in color, so I thought I'd include it here to see just exactly how similar or not it is to the rest. That's basically my comparison chart for the moment. I left some room at the right of the paper if I get more versions of Burnt Sienna in the future, because I don't have every Burnt Sienna. That would be kind of extreme. So as you can see, the colors, they're fairly consistent. There are a few swatches that are different, namely the Italian Burnt Sienna, but then again I think it's made to be different from the other colors. The handmade paint has less yellow in it than the other PBR 7s. And most of the mixes, visually they look fairly like Burnt Sienna does, especially the Schminke one. Since PR 101 is technically a red pigment, and PBR 7 is technically a brown pigment, that could explain why the Cotman swatch looks less brown than the other colors. So that's it for this comparison. Let me know how much you use Burnt Sienna in your paintings, if it's one of your go-to colors. It's not one of my go-to colors, but I really like having it to mix it with ultramarine and get a super nice neutral. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day. Bye bye.